at my Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, which I don't know if you've ever been to one, but spoilers, not very anonymous. We all start by introducing ourselves as...
Well, and they hate it when I bring rum.
Yeah, no, that's frowned upon. I was a little disappointed by the anonymity of it. But then the group host, he started going on about, how alcoholism is a disease and we're addicted, and we all kind of conceded the fact that, we might have a disease, but at least it's the best one. Oh, hello there, I didn't see you come in. Hey, thank you so much for joining us once again for the 127th episode of Draft Doctor Who, wherein we discuss the
127th story of Doctor Who, Terminus.
Hey, Terminus.
Okay, this season 20. Oh, if you can't hear it, we're broadcasting in the middle of a thunderstorm.
That's not...
The camera's on battery because the one time we plugged it in the very first episode, it had that hum. So the camera's always on battery. Oh. So the lights can go out, but the camera will.
And we'll still be recording. We'll bring out the candles and
finish it up under candlelight. It might happen tonight, actually. We'll actually have to go get our cell phones to find the candles.
Quite possibly. Oh, and that non-sequitur. I can't.
Non-sequitur.
That non-sequitur was brought to us via the late. Anyone? Norm Macdonald. He's a comedian. You know Norm Macdonald?
I know Norm Macdonald.
Oh, he's my favorite. Yeah, he passed away, but just watching the interviews with him is so funny. He talks about the most controversial topics on morning shows.
That guy has exactly one funny joke.
And it makes me laugh every time I see them.
So anyway,
well, I just told two of them. Were those funny?
So this is the second to last serial of season 20. That season is going to be coming out later this year on Blu-ray, but it's not out yet. It's basically because it's going to include the 5 Doctors, which is the 20th anniversary, and they're doing that for the 60th anniversary in November, plus combined with the fact it's the 40th anniversary of the 20th anniversary.
Hey.
All right. Terminus is 4 episodes.
4 of them.
Today is the 7th of August, 2023. The episodes aired from 2/14/1983 to 2/23/1983. Do you see what's weird about that?
So we're still doing the Monday Tuesday thing? So it's serial every 2
do the
weeks?
math. That's not Monday Tuesday.
What did they switch it to?
That's Sunday Tuesday, Monday Tuesday.
I don't know that math. There's some people that you can go hey, 1984, September 2nd, and that'd be boop, 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 boop. Oh, that was a Tuesday. It's how do you do that math?
So I noticed this earlier while I was writing it on the board.
That
instead of Monday, Tuesday, it was Sunday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday. The only thing I could think of was on that Monday was some big soccer match or something.
Maybe.
So, the Brits playing in the World Cup.
That's so loud. Is that your thumb that's popping?
Yeah, it's my thumb.
Is the thumb the only one that you pop?
Oh no, I can pop every single joint.
You pop it so aggressively.
Oh, thank you.
You're
So I have no idea what happened on February 15th of 1983. We could look into it if we wanted. But anyway, so they did the Sunday, Tuesday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, we
don't want to look into it.
I might later. But anyway, so still on the 5th Doctor, Davison, and our companions are Nyssa, Tegan, and Turlo. Our antagonists are the company Arak,
yeah.
Garm.
No, the Garm was a good guy.
You don't know that at the beginning.
Oh, well, we don't know it, but it was.
Yeah. So the Garm
people.
And the Black Guardian.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't really in it.
Give me that. He's trying to kill a bloody doctor.
Well, he's not doing a great job of it.
That is correct, actually. All right.
He chose the most incapable person as his
inept
assassin.
Guardian.
So the company.
Garm.
The Garm's not a bad guy.
Well, he
was never a bad guy.
Oh yeah, leprosy.
Well, looks like doesn't translate to. No, it's not leprosy. It's Lazar's.
No, the Lazars are people with leprosy. They're not called lepers. They're called Lazars. But he says they have leprosy.
Yeah, he calls it a leper ship.
Yeah.
Which is the only time they ever refer to what, but they do call it Lazar's disease. The Lazar's are called
but
Lazar's,
it is a leprosy.
because they have Lazar's disease.
It might be a specific type of leprosy.
I guess.
All right. To make a long story short.
Part 1, episode 1.
Yeah. All right. What are you drinking today? This is Holden. I'm Hatter.
Oh, I won the bet last week.
No, he didn't. This is my booty.
That's mine. That's mine that he bought me.
Nah.
We never. You don't see her feet. You don't know that she's not being carried out.
You don't see her being carried out. She is vertical, not horizontal.
I call for a mediator.
Okay. I'm drinking Captain Morgan sliced apple, which I like.
Drinking
White Claw.
Sliced apple White Claw.
Natural lime, it says.
Slime.
Cheers.
Tastes the same. Right. Cheers. Hey, I'll explain later.
Drink. All right. Okay.
Yeah,
so
exactly. We had no deaths this entire cereal. In a containment ship full of
lepers.
Yeah, people with a debilitating, deadly disease. Not a single death.
Interesting cereal. Some of these cereals, everyone dies. This one, nobody dies.
There's like 3 or 4 people that you're just waiting to die throughout the whole cereal, and then you're like, well, they're still here.
Boar? How is Boar still?
Yeah, at the end he just stands up. He's like, I'm feeling much better.
Well, they gave him some of that. What was it called?
That was a second shot of Hydromel.
Hydromel, yes.
Which is their apparently it's not a cure for Lazarus, but it kind of keeps it.
No, it's against the radiation.
Oh, radiation.
Yeah. Okay, so essentially, in the beginning of this episode serial, we start out with Turlo. Right at the end of the last one, he's in a hallway in the TARDIS, and he's like talking to the little glowy crystal thing, and he's like, help me, you know, Black Guardian, your only hope. And the Black Guardian's like, okay, you see that roundo behind you? Yeah, the circular things in the TARDIS. Open it up. He opens it up. He's like, okay, push the blue buttons. Okay, does that. And then Tegan starts coming. And Turlo quickly closes the roundel, but he doesn't do it properly. And Turlo's questioning him, and it falls open.
Well, he's talking to the Black Guardian, and right as who was it, Tegan? Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tegan comes up, and she's like, who are you talking to? And he's like, I was singing. And then she's like, why didn't you answer me when I called? It's like, he could have just been like, oh, I was calling for you. I was responding.
But I was singing, and she's like, that's singing? Oh, I'm doing it very well. Oh, man.
Yeah, so she starts to question him, and he's like, oh, I'm just, what did he say? Up to no good and terribly curious or something as an excuse for messing around with the roundel, because it pops open. She's like, what were you doing?
And he's like, well, I've got no reason to do this.
He said,
I don't want to die.
Solemnly swear that I'm up to no good or something.
Yeah, exactly. So he's being a Hanyak. You can easily tell he's up to no good. She does not trust him for good reason, because he's working with the Black Guardian and trying to kill the Doctor, you know?
I found these Harry Potter wands. They use magician's flame paper, and it creates like a green flame, and I want one. And it shoots it out. You can pop a balloon with it.
Cool.
So I saw all these videos of these people just going like, oh, get on! Yeah, just boop. It's terribly entertaining.
Cool.
I might show up next week with one of those.
I think the storm may have already passed.
I was fast. It was a quick moving storm.
Wow, yeah.
You're welcome for the improved audio quality. I asked the rain very nicely to
Well, look at that. I mean, you can actually
away.
see some of the sunset.
Please come back on a school day.
Yeah.
I guess it listened.
All right. So she does not trust Turlo at all.
I did a rain dance, but in reverse.
So you created the drought the other year?
This is the custom of my people.
To create droughts?
Yeah. Well, I don't do the rain dance very well, so I feel like it's...
Yeah, that's what. Okay.
Opposite effect.
All right. So anyway, Nyssa does not trust Turlo. Sorry, not Nyssa. Tegan. For good
She has
reason.
a spot-on intuition. Like, Nissa's like, oh, we can trust him. And she's like, nope.
So eventually he's like, well, where do I stay? Because they just got back in the TARDIS. Mm-hmm. And she's like, oh, you can have this room. And he's like, this seems to be like a kid's room. And I'm sick of kids after being on Earth. Because apparently he looks younger on Earth than he is.
Adrix.
Yeah, kind of like the vampires in Twilight being hundreds of years old, but still going to a high school, you know?
Like that one vampire movie with Tom Cruise and Natalie.
Interview with a Vampire.
Yeah, that one.
Kirsten Dunst.
Kirsten Dunst, that's it. I said Natalie Portman.
No, it was Kirsten Dunst as a little girl.
Yeah.
And
creepy movie.
Yeah. Anyway, but so he goes in the room and she's like, yeah, it was Adric's room. And he's like, well, what about these kids things? She's like, do with it what you like. And we just lost Adric, the serial, a couple serials before.
Mm-hmm.
We only had the one serial between Adric and Turlo, right? Which was Time Flight.
Why would they give Turlo...
No, I knew a couple more.
Yeah, well, why would they give Turlo Adric's whole room? Like, aren't there infinite bedrooms on the TARDIS? Couldn't they just be like, here's your room?
Okay. In theory, yes. But the BBC only has so many sets.
I didn't even know there was a set for Adric's room, and now there is.
I think we saw it once or twice.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I wrote down Tegan was hurt by the fact that Turlo took Adric's old room and wanted to
even
throw
though she
everything out.
Pointed him towards Adric's old room.
Well, she said, this is your room now, and then he's like, I don't like any of this stuff, I want to get rid of it all. And that's what made her sad, because that was Adric's stuff, and Adric was gone. But then I had to rewrite my notes because Alyssa requested that we make sure to mention Turlo's clammy hands. So I rewrote it as, Tegan does not like the clammy hands of Turlo that made Tegan sad because he wanted to
There's 3 serials between Adric dying and Turlo coming on.
Okay.
So it's not too short a period of time. Yeah, not too short. Yeah. Turlo's coming across as a snake oil salesman,
How is your, very kind, silver tongue, Tegan's not buying it.
He's like,
being amicable, and she's like, no, you're being manipulative.
Yeah.
She's like, you're hiding something.
And she's correct.
Yes, yeah, spot on intuition. Yeah. How was your high school experience, Hatter?
30 years ago?
Yeah.
35 years ago.
You know what teenage girls used to tell me when I'd wear stuff like this in my high school years? This is a fashion faux pas.
Okay.
Yeah, social suicide wearing this. You're not supposed to match an underlayer color with an overlayer color. Red. But I think this is more pink. I think it goes fine.
Salmon
and red.
Oh.
I don't think it clashes, but apparently it clashes.
Yeah, the storm is absolutely done. All right.
Yeah. It might roll it.
Yeah.
It's just one cloud that just came over the house and kept going.
It was a big cloud.
It was a very angry cloud.
All right. So anyway, Tegan goes in to talk to Nyssa. Nissa's working on some formula. And she's synthesizing stuff, chemicals and all that.
So apparently that's what Nyssa does.
Yep.
According to her schooling that she had on
a highly trained scientist.
Yeah.
So Turlo gets told by the Black Guardian to go into the control room. Now that he's flipped the blue switches, he can remove the time-space device or something?
It's a vial of particles that apparently is necessary for time travel, and we find out that later, the Terminus has that exact same vial of particles.
It's not a vial, this is more of a board.
No, they're referring to that red tube, and we see that same red tube in the control panel and on the Terminus, and the Doctor looks at the red tube and he goes, at one point the Terminus was capable of time travel, and then I assume that's what Turlo was trying to sabotage, because we saw it in the TARDIS and then we saw it on Terminus.
I don't think it was a tube. I think it was like a circuit board, or looked almost like a hard drive.
Well, I mean, there were those, but there's also a red tube.
I don't think it was yanking the red tube. I think it was...
I mean, we were led to believe that he was was trying to sabotage the red tube because the red tube was later referenced on Terminus as the evidence of the Terminus being capable of time travel. So I think...
Okay, the one in Terminus was green.
No, it was red too in Terminus.
Well, we're talking about the fail switch, right?
No, the control panel with the red vial that was the exact same as the red vial under the TARDIS control panel. And the Doctor looks at it and goes, at one point, the Terminus, much like the TARDIS, was capable of time travel.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that was the same vial that Turlo was trying to sabotage to keep the TARDIS from
I don't believe there's a vial where he was trying to sabotage. I don't have any recollection of a vial on the Terminus ship.
I don't know if it's a vial. It might be a crystal, but it's like a red. It's like
almost an LED strip.
Yeah, like an acrylic plastic tube with like a red light shining through it. That's literally what it is. But I think it's
that could be closer. I could believe that. Yeah,
it's supposed to be a vial, I think, of some sorts. It's
right. We're not going back to. We need mercury in this vial to
right.
Get
Not mercury. It's some sort of particle thing that's necessary for time travel. And we see the same tube in the Terminus as we saw under the control panel.
Arton energy.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And apparently the Terminus had a ton of it.
So anyway,
they refer to it as fuel, which is why I think it's a liquid vial, or at least it's supposed to represent a liquid vial.
Well, we've seen solid fuels.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Remember the crystal fuels in Horns of Neman?
How does that work? Crystal fuel?
Yeah, you break down the structure molecularly, and it creates fuel.
So it goes from
this is science fiction, dude.
A solid to a liquid?
No. Not a gasoline fuel.
It changes states from solid to something else?
Probably to like vapor, gas, or plasma.
When you consolidate as a liquid?
No. Generally not as a liquid. The only solid that usually goes to a liquid easily would be ice.
I guess if it functioned off of lasers, it could use a crystal as a focus point, and that would be a type of fuel. And then you'd need to replace the crystals periodically as they wear out.
Well, it's like plutonium.
Yeah,
like plutonium's a rod.
Yeah.
That's a solid, and we get fuel from it.
Well, I guess it's a solid fuel. I don't know, but there's a ton of it, and it's in the Terminus, which apparently is very dangerous.
I was referring to stuff in Horns of Neman, but yeah.
I don't know, the crystal things.
Yeah. So anyway, so Turlo's trying to, underneath the TARDIS control panels, he's trying to rip out this time-space mechanism. All he manages to do is to stop, what was it called? The deal in the middle? Not the rondelle, but... Yeah. He manages to stop that.
The key on the piano strings is what he stops.
And this weird 1980s special effect comes in. Invades a TARDIS.
Would you call it a light bright effect?
Yeah, light bright, yeah.
Just some blurry pixels on the screen.
Yeah, it looks like Christmas tree lights fuzzed away.
Just out of focus.
Yeah, out of focus. So, Tegan sees this.
Mm-hmm.
Nyssa is oblivious. She's doing her science experiments.
Yeah, she's in her room, and it's starting to happen behind her.
Yeah,
and she doesn't notice it yet. But Tegan notices it, and she's running to go tell the doctor, like, what's happening?
And the doctor's like, this is the first time we see the doctor. The doctor's like, what's up?
He just got out of the bathroom.
What's wrong? Hurry! And he runs and he sees this. And then he goes to the control room where Turlo has put things kind of back in. He didn't manage to completely destroy everything. Just turned it a bit.
Back on.
And the doctor's doing things and stuff, and he turns the outside scanner inside so they can see Nyssa, because apparently Nissa's on the other side of this problem inside the TARDIS.
It's like the first time we've seen him do that.
Right, and he says the universe is getting in. He does. The universe is getting in. And so apparently on Nissa's wall in her room, it gets transmogrified into a different wall. And it's got this skull painting on it.
we see the skull appear a few times, and what I think is happening,
kind of phasing in and out
as space is getting in, is that like this door is phasing into the same space that the other door was in. That's why we see
the wall.
Yeah.
So the doctor's like, Tegan or Nyssa, if you can hear me, run, go through the door, because the door actually opens, and
wall.
Well, now it's a door. The door opens, and Nyssa runs through to get away from the LED light bright effect. And Tegan's like, "Why did you tell her to do that?" And he says, "Well, if she stays, she will die." You know, he never explains what the heck happened. He never explains what it was or why. Drink.
He does say that he'll explain later at some point.
So drink, yeah.
But yeah, Nyssa runs through the pixels.
Well, she runs to the door, away from the pixels.
Yeah.
So finally,
they run in after her.
Well, finally, after she goes through, and the doctor tells her to keep running. It looks like they're in some industrial complex, or she is. The weird LED light brights fade away. Everything's good again. The doctor takes off, like shoves Turlo and shoves Tegan out of the way. Takes off towards her bedroom because he sees the door closing. Gets into the bedroom, leaps over the bed, grabs a chair, throws it in the gap, and it gets
perfectly,
beautifully. It gets caught. Larry Bird style, and it gets caught between the door and the wall, and it stops from closing.
There's this one funny, those doorbell cameras that got real popular?
Yeah.
And then funny things happen, so then they post the videos online. There's this one of these two brothers coming back from school, and you know how brothers are, and the one runs in and tries to lock the other one outside, and then the younger brother, he throws his jacket and it stops the door from closing. It's like a ninja move. It's kind of like that.
Dude, perfect.
Yeah, just perfectly tosses the chair, stops the door from closing, then he crawls under it. He goes, "Where's Nyssa?" Even though the last thing he said to Nyssa was, "Don't stop running, keep running."
First he tells Tegan and Turlo to stay in the TARDIS.
Then he said, Tegan's like, "What's going on? Where is she?" And he's like, "She's gone, even though I told her to not stop running." And then he's like, "Well, you stay here." And Tegan listens for about 5 seconds until there's a noise.
Maybe 30 seconds, maybe.
And then there's a strange noise, and Turlo's like, "What's that?" And Tegan goes, "The doctor!" And then she runs out.
She runs out. Turlo ends up following her eventually, after he consults with the Black Guardian.
Usually when the companions don't listen to the doctor, it's either they become the damsel in distress or they end up saving the doctor. However, this time they don't listen to the doctor. They leave the TARDIS for about 2 episodes, and it has no impact on the plot. They do absolutely nothing.
Yeah, we'll explain here in a minute, but Turlo and Tegan end up on their own for 2.5 episodes. They're split up from everyone else by themselves, doing nothing pretty much for 2.5 episodes. It's really strange.
The plot device of sticking to fighting personalities and forcing them into like you're in an elevator with someone you don't like and the elevator gets stuck. That's kind of what happens to Tegan and Turlo, because Tegan's not a big fan of Turlo, and then she has to put up with him for like 2 straight episodes where it's just the two of them, like
in a very claustrophobic space.
Yeah. But you get the feeling that Turlo's kind of earning Tegan's trust, or at least she's dealing with him, like at least tolerating his presence. But then there's a few more sketchy things that happen, and
like if you had to kill someone in cold blood, could you do it?
So you're a weirdo, T.
Okay. All right. So okay. Anyway,
I like how he's conflicted about the Black Guardian telling him to kill the doctor, and he's just like, "Well, what would you do if you had to murder someone?" Someone's just asking for advice, and she's like, "What's wrong with you?"
One of the things with Turlo is he's a very unique Doctor Who companion in the fact that he is inherently a coward. Most of them are not, but Turlo is just That's one of his defining attributes is self-preservation, and I take the easy road, you know?
If I was a Doctor Who companion, I would never leave the TARDIS. Not once. I'd be like, I've seen Doctor Who. I'm not getting...
Most of them get swept up in
control.
the adventure, and they
Not me.
take risks to impress the Doctor, or just because they have to.
I'm going to be in my TARDIS room, in Adric's room, playing my Game Boy. Man, you guys have fun.
So the Doctor eventually catches up to Nyssa, who's kind of cowering in a corner, and you see how tiny she is.
She was running, and then she kind of stops when she realizes she's out of danger. She's looking around. She hears the Doctor coming down the stairway, so she's like the, what is it, the roadrunner? Where are the birds that stick their head in the ground?
Ostrich.
But she goes like an
kind of
ostrich.
curls up in this little fetal position. You see, and you realize how small, tiny, and skinny she is. Because she compacts down to about this tall off the ground, you know?
This whole episode, you're just like, man, she's petite. I don't know if it's like the wardrobe they put her in for the serial, but she just looks so tiny and small.
Well, I mean, she at least started with a skirt, and by the end of it, she's just in shorts, you know?
Yeah.
All right, so the Doctor runs into her. They keep looking around. They end up in the control center of the ship. And some people got there ahead of them. There's the late 70s punk band that show up in the ship.
So there's two people. One is Oliver, and the other is
Bonnie Tyler.
Bonnie Tyler. I was about to say.
Wait, what was the character's actual name?
I just wrote down Bonnie Tyler.
Oh, okay.
It was Carrie and Oliver.
Kari. She looks a lot like Bonnie Tyler.
Yep.
Oliver, Olver, and they show up in these.
They look like 80s rock band performers, like something that Kiss would walk out on stage in, with like these capes and
David Bowie. Late 70s David Bowie.
And the makeup with like the blue eyeliner.
And the big hair. And they've got these giant globes around their heads for, to breathe in.
And so that they could fit all their
hair
in. Like, I'm not ruining my hairdo. I'm gonna get a giant helmet.
She looks about 30 to 35. He looks about 20 at best. Yeah. No, I mean barely 20.
A bit younger, yeah. Maybe 20.
Anyway, so they end up in the control room, and they're looking at things. They're like, "This ship's on automatic. Why is it on automatic?" Because it's a nice ship. Apparently, they are pirates. They're raiders. Mm-hmm. They got onto the ship to raid the ship, to steal the cargo and leave.
Mm-hmm. Nice big fancy cargo ship. Right. What a steal.
So they end up hiding behind the front controls as they hear the Doctor and Nyssa, and the Doctor and Nyssa show up, and they're like, and the Doctor's like, "Oh, well, let's look at the controls. It's on automatic," and then up pop Kari and Oliver. Yeah, they pop up and they're like, "Hey, who are you? And how'd you get here?" Because they thought the ship was dead. They thought there was nobody on the ship.
Yeah, ghost ship.
Completely ghost ship.
Freighter.
He said, "We've got our own ship." Oh, the ship ended up glomming onto the other ship.
Yeah,
because of a fail-safe.
When
there was a problem, the TARDIS glommed onto the ship because there was a fail-safe. The pirate ship was there, but there was a fail-safe when the TARDIS got in trouble. And Tegan's like, "Well, why didn't you ever mention that?" He said, "It never worked before." It was like, oh my gosh, how many 5% plans does he have going here,
Specifically the nearest spaceship.
Yeah.
Which means it doesn't land on a planet in cases of emergency.
Well, out in deep space, you're more likely to, I don't know if you're more likely to find a ship, but yeah.
I guess asteroids aren't safe to land on.
I don't know, ships.
He says specifically, ship.
So,
it's like a distress beacon, but instead of sending a distress signal, it just shows up on the spaceship. It's just like, I'm in distress.
Essentially, yeah.
Here I am.
We've literally seen that before.
Yeah, why send a distress signal when you could just teleport through time and space?
Go the ship.
It's like, I'm here, I'm distressed.
So,
Forget the signal.
So the punk rock band hold him at gunpoint, and they're like, "Well, you came here to steal the cargo." He's like, "Us? Really? Unarmed? because they obviously have no weapons. And he's like, no. We came here because our ship was in distress. And they're like, you have a ship? Yeah, it's with this ship. And then they...
At that point...
The ship that was docked with this ship, that wasn't the TARDIS. It was the pirate ship that was docking with it to get the cargo, flees.
Undocks.
Yeah, undocks and flees.
And Oliver's like, he's running out on us. And Kari's like, no, he's not. And she radios to static.
Yeah.
And then he just leaves. And she's like, okay, well maybe he did run out on us. But Kari, very ingenuitive, immediately goes, well, we have the doctor's ship now, so...
Exactly. Take us to your ship. He's like, I think not. And she's like, well, in that case, can you at least rescue us? And he's like, if you put away the guns, please. And they put away the guns to their benefit. They're reasonable.
Apparently, she only had like one bullet in her gun anyway.
All right.
And then you notice Oliver had 2 shots before he had to replace his battery.
So, in the meantime, Tegan and Turlo are running around the corridors, and they think they hear Nyssa from behind one of the doors. This is never explained in the entire serial. We get no explanation as to why they think they hear Tegan's voice, no explanation as to why something would want to make them hear Tegan's voice. There is no reason whatsoever.
I have a couple of working theories.
Okay.
One, the Black Guardian was definitely trying to screw with him. But I don't believe that he was the one that created Nyssa's voice. What I think was because at this time, when they heard Nyssa's voice and Turlo went down the stairs around the corner, he saw that the doors were still kind of changing symbols and shapes, like the door would turn into the skull door and then change back. So what I think is there is still like realities kind of colliding. So it was both Nyssa on the other side of the door until it phased back to the skull door, which was the Lazarus on the other.
That didn't make any sense because they were trying to open a Lazar door, and
they were trying to open.
She was behind that.
They're trying to open the door because she was behind that door.
She was
until reality shifted again. You see like the skull appear on this door, and something changes up here.
Okay,
then
if you want to talk about time screwing with things, that might have been hold 3 they put her in later, and they might have heard an echo of her later.
That too.
But we would really have to go back and triple check that.
I mean, like,
I don't think that's the case.
Reality's being weird. There's light brights, weird blurry pixels. Who knows what's going on?
So for no reason whatsoever, they think they hear her behind the door. They try to open the door. She's messing with the buttons. Tegan is. She tells Turlo to go find a pry bar, what we would call a crowbar. He's looking for one. He doesn't find one, but that's when he sees the door kind of phasing. And then she says, "Hurry, hurry! It's opening." You know, she got some. She got a bit of a catch on it, right? And
I mean, it started to open up.
It started to open. And it's starting to open. She's getting a bit of purchase.
Wait, why did it start to open?
Because she got enough purchase and strength on it.
I guess.
Yeah. And then hands come out and
very creepy.
Very creepy.
You see greenish. One. So at first it's pretty normal. They're just like, you know, creepy hands going out grabbing her.
And
but then there's this one hand that's like,
yeah. She gets her finger in her mouth, and then it kind of they can't see what they're doing, like, and you get the feeling that a couple of the actors got things a little off, because one gets in her mouth and then goes, oh, okay, here. And then one gets right here, and okay, here.
A lot of hands.
Yeah, a lot of hands.
Some in her face and mouth.
Yeah, I've seen videos like this, you know, hentai.
Yeah, me too. There's a movie scene that I really like, with a whole bunch of hands. From the movie The Labyrinth.
Yes. She chose down. She chose down.
I like when they like make the faces.
This entire serial is kind of Labyrinth-esque.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
With the David Bowie outfits and the weird creepy hands
and the guy with the big mustache and the big dog.
Yeah, there's a giant dog.
So, it's very, very Labyrinth-esque. So anyway,
the bog of eternal stench.
Yeah, I guess the goblins, the Lazars. All right. So eventually the ship they're on, after the pirate ship left, the TARDIS is on this ship. It docks, and it docks at Terminus, and it's announced, and Oliver freaks out, and suddenly the doors open, and all these people with a horrible green pallor, and swords and everything comes out. And Oliver's like,
I don't think it's powder. I think it's just their complexion.
pallor.
Yeah, just their complexion. Probably no powder.
Pallor. P-A-L-L-O-R.
That's not how you spell powder.
No, it's
But
pallor.
I think it's just their
different word.
complexion that looks like that, and the greenish hue.
Okay.
So that...
Explain that to you in there. Pallor. All right.
Explain later.
All right. So anyway, they come out and they're walking around like zombies, and he's like, "This is a leper ship. They're Lazars. We're all going to die." Boom. End of episode 1.
Is that how you spell leprosy? That's why. Yeah, Oliver finally realizes why their pilot just kind of jumped ship on them is because they're on a leper ship.
Well, and they're going to Terminus, which is where the lepers go.
Which is the sanitation zone. Which, why is it called a leper ship if they have Lazarus disease and not leprosy?
Because I don't know if Lazarus is actually a specific type of leprosy, but in the future it may be a specific type of leprosy.
I think it's the same type of leprosy. Well, mutated, of course. But they just call it Lazarus instead of leprosy.
Well, but it does mention leper ship.
Yeah. So I think it has to be some way related to Earth leprosy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So,
it's kind of like when they call a star the sun in Star Wars. You're like, that's not the sun.
yeah, it is.
No, it's just a star. Why are they calling it the sun?
Alright. Anyway, so, everyone, Tegan, Nyssa, the Doctor, Turlo, Bonnie Tyler, and Oliver
Yeah.
are
The whole gang.
the whole gang at this point are stuck on a leper ship, and the leper ship is docked at Terminus, which means the end. So, we don't know what's going to happen to them. And Oliver's like, "Don't let them touch you." Well, Tegan's already been touched by like 6 of them.
Yeah. But she's fine. It's Nyssa.
It's Nyssa that gets sick, yeah.
Which, I mean, what were we talking about?
Okay. So, so at this juncture, at the beginning of episode 2, Turlo, who has a really high self-preservation ratio, and he's a coward, figures out there's gratings on the floor. He runs and he pulls one up with the help of Tegan. They get under it and they pull the grating back.
The old Millennium Falcon smuggler's trick.
Yeah, exactly.
Under the floor panels.
And there's all these Lazars, these lepers that walk across it. Okay, so I'm going to summarize what happens to them for the next 2.5 episodes so we can forget about them.
Yeah.
Because they do not interact
do
with anyone else in the group. They don't see the Doctor. They don't see Nyssa. They don't see Bonnie Tyler. They don't see Oliver. Any of them at all whatsoever.
So
they don't interact with that group at all.
Not at all. Like the
2.5
other
episodes.
know they ever left the TARDIS.
Right. The Doctor thinks they're still on the TARDIS when he bumps into him in the middle of the 4th episode.
So they split the party, and what Tegan and Turlo are doing the whole time is just failing a bunch of DC different checks. Until he finally rolls a success on a strength saving throw and pulls a bar out.
They're crawling around down there, looking for a way to get out, avoiding the sterilizations, crawling, being annoyed with each other, talking weird stuff. They finally find the control room. They eventually manage to make it back to the TARDIS. And literally that's 2.5 episodes for them. They hear the doctor. They think they hear somebody else.
The doctor thinks he hears them.
No, nobody can do anything. It's just, that's it. They are. I don't know if they needed 2 weeks off and they filmed 2 days of them and they went away for a couple of weeks, but it is literally completely disjointed, you know?
Yeah, they couldn't get the whole cast together to film. So
Yeah. It's like a D&D game.
Yeah.
Well, these guys are stuck over here, so I'm going to run the main group on Wednesday and these two guys on Thursday, and I'll tell you what happened later, you know? You can talk it out when you get back together. Okay, so the main plot, essentially, all these Lazars, all these lepers, are leaving the ship of their own accord because they've told they're going to be cured here in Terminus. Oliver doesn't believe there's a cure. And he's kind of hiding in a corner. He was supposedly battle tested, but he ran away.
I mean, I don't think anyone really believes that they're secure.
True.
Even the like guards that are ushering the Lazars are like, "This is supposed to help you."
That's what I've been told.
They're like, "We don't think you're getting cured." But
So, the guards, what are they called?
they're called the Veneer.
Veneer. They wear these radiation suits because apparently the engine on Terminus is highly radioactive.
You know why they call them the Veneer?
Why?
They all have false teeth. Veneers.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. Because the radiation.
Oh,
It's,
theoretically possible.
yeah, like, they're the Veneers. They have all this false teeth. They're all putting their dentures in.
Okay, so there's about 8 Veneers left, and they wear these suits that protect them from the radiation, and they have these vials of green stuff called hydroflax.
Hydromel.
Hydromel.
Yeah. Hydroflax is a way better name, though.
Okay, so they put the hydromel deals in here and it protects them from the radiation. Well, there's a power play going on between the guards. In the meantime, Nissa comes down with the leprosy. Her pallor turns green, and
Or complexion.
her complexion, and
No powder involved.
no,
I mean, it was makeup, so there's probably powder involved
Powder.
for the green complexion. You're right, it is powder. Makeup.
you're being willfully obtuse.
So she then,
She gets led away by this weird Docbot robot.
she's with Olvir, and the doctor's with Kari. And Nissa and Olvir goes, "You're sick. you've got the Lazars," and she's like, "No, I don't. But I am just dying." And she takes her skirt off, and then this robot comes over, and he's like, "Lazar," and he just grabs her wrist, and she's like, "Oliver, help me!" And he's standing there with a gun, and he goes, "Bye."
He believes she's contagious and dead, which, both are likely. The robot takes her away, delivers her onto the guards.
And then the robot says,
What?
What all robots say? "Danger, Will Robinson."
So the guards take her away, and they're like, "Well, this one's barely touched." "Well, yeah, but look, she has it, but she's barely touched." "Well, don't worry, she'll be more touched here pretty soon."
Yeah.
And they basically put them in all these Lazars in holds.
She makes a attempt at escape as she cut her thumb, and she turns to who was it?
Oh, the big tall
Valgard.
Yeah.
And she goes, "I cut my thumb." He's like, "Let me see." And she takes
She takes her thumb and pulls it down. He looks down.
Just like,
She gets him the solar plexus.
she just mushes her bloody thumb into his face.
She makes an attempt
She's like,
to
"Look,"
escape. It doesn't work.
She tries to hit him with the jaw, but she's like, "Look at my thumb." Yeah. Which completely knocks him off his feet, but then she runs directly into
Once again,
Sigurd.
radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
She gets taken down, put in a hold. It looks like a cross between a concentration camp and a boxcar. Think
Very
Holocaust.
claustrophobic
It's very bad.
and gross.
All these other lepers in there, and she talks with one of them, and this young female leper's like, Lazar's like, "There's no escape."
She's like, "They don't care."
They don't care. We live, we die. They don't care. And
don't waste your breath.
yeah, Why do you keep trying to escape? There's nothing you can offer them, you know?
And then she asked her one question, and the girl that was very helpful then decides to go, I'm not going to talk to you. I'm not.
What question?
I don't remember what the question was. She asked something, and the girl was just like, you'll figure it out. It's like she initiated a conversation. Yeah. She's like, how do they hear? What's this garm? And she's like, you'll figure it out. You'll see. And
you'll see.
Which was so weird because she initiated this conversation. She seemed like she was being very helpful. And then the first question that's ahead, she's like, yeah, okay. And this conversation's done.
I don't want to talk about the garm. Okay. So
the garm is a big Scottish Terrier, by the way.
Yeah, it's this big dog-like creature.
Chewbacca.
Right here. No, much. Looks like something out of Chronicles of Nim.
What was the
Secret of Nim.
The Chewbacca and the Labyrinth called? What was his name? The big dog.
Oh, the really, really big critter?
Yeah, the big fuzzy one that almost fell into the bog of eternal stench. We talk about Labyrinth a lot.
Sarah Fran.
Yeah. Sarah. Man, I love the puppeteering in that movie.
Oh,
you ever watch the behind the scenes?
Jim Henson, it's fantastic.
Yeah, it's great. I miss practical effects. It's so cool.
Well, there was almost all practical effects in this one because they couldn't afford anything else.
I mean, not good, but like, I mean, good practical effects like The Thing.
Oh yeah.
Timeless. Or Jurassic Park with the big animatronics. Still holds up so well.
Okay, so
she's in the quarantine room.
Okay, yeah, she's in the quarantine room, and the doctor is running. Okay, Oliver is by himself.
The
doctor's with Carrie, and
Karen, Bonnie Tyler,
Carrie, and they run into Valgard. Valgard, who's about 6'3". He's the biggest of the guards. He's got the radiation suit on, and they get into a fight, and Valgard's choking out with his staff. He has this big staff. He's choking out Carrie.
Yeah, he sneaks up right, and no one noticed. The doctor doesn't notice that Carrie's being choked out, and then he turns around, and he just sees Carrie collapse, and he's like, "Unhand her," and he's like, "You're next, but I'm
gonna kill you."
And then the doctor's like, "Oh yeah," and then Valgard slowly walks up to him.
No, it's quickly.
It's not quick at all. The doctor stands there, watches Valgard lumber up to him, continues to stand there. Valgard then drops his staff
and chokes.
The doctor continues to stand there, and then he just starts choking him. The whole time, the doctor is just like.
It's faster than what he's making.
It's not fast at all. It's
not fast, but it's not slow.
He just stands there until he walks up and chokes him.
End of episode 2.
Doesn't do anything. What a cliffhanger.
All right, episode 3. The doctor and he are fighting.
That's like walking up to the hangman's noose and being like, "You'll never take me alive," and then you just put it on your own head.
That would actually be funny. Watch the guy.
No noose is good noose.
All right. So the doctor and Valgard are fighting. They're actually having a good battle, but the Valgard Valgard gets the doctor in kind of a chokehold.
The doctor goes from being choked to then turning around and then being choked from behind.
Well, there's a little bit of swinging of
and like one movement, really. He goes from being choked to still being choked. And he's going, "Carrie, help me!" And she's like, "I don't know what. I can't possibly shoot him and not you. So instead, what I'm gonna do is do this Annie Oakley shot because that's the only possible way I can avoid."
Right. She ricochets the laser beam off of some piece of metal. And it hits the guy. It was beautiful.
It's like the guy choking out the doctor, and they're here, and she's standing there, and she's like, "I can't possibly shoot this guy without maybe shooting the doctor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ricochet it off this panel to shoot him right in the side of the head that was facing me anyway."
And it was successful. Instead of
just pointing the gun at him and shooting him.
Anyway,
Bad stage direction. I'm sure it was meant to look a lot cooler, but it was very silly.
80s special effects. Alright. So anyway, they get away. They go further into the Forbidden Zone. There's this area of the Forbidden Zone.
More sense if the Doctor was like facing her and Valgard was behind.
I think they were facing each other. It's just
but
not
no, they're completely
shown.
Perpendicular to her.
I think it's not explicitly shown.
It's very explicitly shown that the side of his head is exposed to her is the same side of the head which she ricochets a shot off to hit him. The side of the head, which was right in front of her. She could have just shot him in the side of the head. This entire serial is just so ridiculous with the stage direction and the...
It is. Once again, back to Labyrinth. Alright.
They have no coordinator on set.
They probably
It's like,
one.
how do you want me to do this combat scene? They're just like, figure it out. Just stand there until he chokes you.
You have skills, work with them.
He's like, well, how do you want me to fight with him? I just turn around and have him still choking you.
Okay.
We'll fix it in post, and they didn't fix it in post.
So the Doctor and Carrie get away. They go further into the Forbidden Zone, which is the zone of heavy radiation. They come across this Man of La Mancha-esque character called Bor, B-O-R. The man seems to be dying. He's got a big mustache, Man of La Mancha. Don Quixote-esque. Anyway, so the Doctor and she offer help. They help him. He's trying to build a wall to block the radiation from one of the engines of Terminus so that it doesn't kill everybody, but he seems to be dying himself, partly because he doesn't have the haloflax thing or whatever. And then they're helping him, and eventually Valgard comes along and, takes them away. In the meantime, Oliver has managed to find the uniforms of the guards, and he puts one on. And they go and they get Nyssa out of the leopard tank, and they bring her and they put her in shackles like this. And the leader of the guards, Edrak, uses this device to call for the Garm. The Garm, the big dog-like thing, comes, and Oliver tries to shoot him and stop him, but the laser does nothing. We don't know what race the Garm is, unless it's just called Garm. We don't know what planet he's from, and none of anything is explained during the serial. All we know is he is basically impervious to radiation and most weapons. But Garm survives the laser blast, gets Nyssa, takes Nyssa into a tank, shuts the door. Turns out he infuses the tank with radiation. The radiation from the engines and from the power source. And that radiation actually cures Lazarus disease, the leprosy. And she is fine again, which is really nice. In the meantime, the Doctor and... Good, you get some more White Claw.
Episode 5? You're on?
3.
Oh.
It's only 4 episodes. The Doctor and Kira are wandering around, and they wind up on...
I think that's the name of an anime. No, that's
Akira.
Yeah. Have you seen that one?
I actually have
the
seen
motorcycle.
that one.
You like it?
It was good.
Yeah.
They wind up on the bridge, and the Doctor realizes what's going on with the controls. He's like, wait a second.
He goes,
he figures out that the engine that blew up, because one engine blew up previously, Bohr told him this.
Right. Which he said he was wrong, but he wasn't.
Right.
Because it did blow up.
Yeah. The first engine blew up.
He's like, no engine blew up. That would be catastrophist. What?
Catastrophic.
Catastrophic. And then 2 minutes later, he's like, I guess an engine did blow up, huh?
But apparently the fuel got jettisoned back into time billions of years, which supposedly created the Big Bang.
They established that because he saw that like red tube, and that's when he goes. At one point, the Terminus was capable of time travel, and then he went, well, I guess they're having issues. The fuel became volatile. So, what do you do? And Carrie says, well, you standard procedures to eject it. And he's like, yeah, you eject it. But what happens if you're ejecting all that volatile fuel while traveling through time and space, and it has a reaction? It's going to have,
right. So the fuel goes in the past,
effect.
And the ship goes to the future by the wave.
Like
and
something Gambit, Runner's Gambit. What's the thing like where the ship cut and the thing, the Death Star's exploding, and you see the Millennium Falcon come out?
Yeah.
Runner's Gambit. There's a word for that or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
A phrase. It's kind of like that. Yeah.
Lucky as hell.
The explosion they're escaping from only
propels them
through their escape.
Yeah, it's like riding a wave in the surf.
Yeah, riding the wave.
Anyway, and he's like, wow, so this fuel created the Big Bang. That's why Terminus is in the dead center of the known universe. Mm. So, and she's like, well, could that have happened to do that? He's like, why not? Why not more than anything else? Which is a big bootstrap paradox.
It's
where
the theory that
the universe could not have been created unless it had been created to make that happen. So how was it created? Itself. Right.
But also we previously established that it was the TARDIS that caused the Big Bang, as the Doctor said.
Yeah, let's not worry about that.
So my theory is
which serial was that?
I don't know. That was when they were escaping something. Was it when they were leaving E-Space or something? He said, we just created the universe with that explosion. So. It matches the echo of the expanding universe. So we create. My theory is, if you're going to subscribe to the thought that the universe created itself so it could exist,
yeah.
I think there are multiple events that it. So the TARDIS went and had that explosion at the exact same time the universe used the Terminus as an explosion. Like both, I'm guessing the universe sent several things back in time to all explode at the same time to create the Big Bang effect. So it was not only the TARDIS, it was also the Terminus and maybe a few other things that all aligned on the same exact time scale to explode and create the universe.
Yeah. Now the TARDIS does create a new universe in the future.
Okay.
Which is the exact same as our current universe. But the same.
And the TARDIS did that all by itself.
Well, it was a doctor flying the TARDIS into the sun. I'll explain later. Drink. All right. Oh man. Okay.
This show's ridiculous.
It is. It's wonderful.
Mm. Yeah, but he said it created the Big Bang. I'm like, didn't that happen like a couple of seasons ago?
Right. So the second engine's going to blow up if they don't stop it. And that'll destroy the universe that the other one created.
The writers are like, they probably forgot this by now. Let's just write it back in.
So Turlo and Tegan are still crawling around in the ducks like rats. Mm-hmm. And Turlo is told by the Black Guardian to go down there and pull the fail-safe because he tries to get Turlo to blow up the TARDIS.
He's just
to kill everyone. He doesn't care about Turlo. He tries to get Turlo to blow up Terminus to destroy the universe. Doesn't care about anybody or anything. He just keeps trying to kill everybody. And Turlo goes along so far, and he goes, "This may not be the best idea," you know.
Yeah, he's having conflicts as he's carrying around the steel bar, and he's just contemplating murdering the Doctor. And he turns to Tegan, and he's like, "Well, how would you murder somebody?" But I think that the Black Guardian chose the worst assassin possible for his nemesis, the Doctor, because I feel like the only reason that Black Guardian is having so much trouble influencing Turlo is because Turlo's natural instinct of self-preservation and cowardice. Yeah, so that is in exact conflict with the Black Guardian trying to use Turlo to sacrifice himself in attempts of killing the Doctor.
Right, or even...
because his natural instinct is, no, that would hurt me, I'm not...
Yeah, or even attempting to commit some horrific act. Yeah. So, anyway, Turlo pulls the fail-safe, The computer in the computer room kind of starts sparking and on fire.
It's just like the 5th explosion thus far, and Kari's just like, "What's happening?"
Yeah, and
She's like, "Why did that blow
I
up?"
don't know. Anyway, there's this big giant red switch which starts over here, and it goes boom, boom, and the dogs are like, "No, no." The pilot didn't do the engine. The engine blew up. The computer blew up the engine itself,
or it ejected the fuel for the pilot. It's
right.
all automated, and then they realize,
right, we have to stop this, or it's going to destroy the universe.
Yeah.
End of episode 3.
Cliffhanger.
Right. Episode 4. The Doctor and Carrie are literally trying to physically keep the lever from moving, but they don't have enough strength. The big switch.
Yeah, and he uses a steel bar, kind of like probably the same one that Turlo's carrying around.
Yeah, and it bends. Yeah.
The Doctor.
So in the meantime, Oliver summons the Garm. Mm-hmm. And then he runs into the Garm.
The Scottish Terrier.
And the big Scottish Terrier. No, he hasn't said a word so far, the Garm. And Oliver's like, hey, do you know what happened to Kira? It's like, well, I take them to the chamber. Some of them die, but most of them live.
And then the other guard was like, Akira? He's riding a motorcycle. I saw
No. and he's like, can you take me to her? And the guard was like, okay. And it's kind of like the
apparently he talks this whole time.
Right.
It's just like, he's like, can you understand me? And the Terrier is just like, perfectly. Like, why would you even ask?
But deep voice, deep bass. Perfectly.
He's like, can you understand me?
Yeah.
And the dog's just
do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? But it reminds me of the Indian in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest.
Oh man, it's been a long time since
nobody, he never spoke, but nobody ever talked to him. And then finally somebody talks to him. Yeah.
It's like Holes, what was his name?
Oh.
Zero, because he didn't say anything.
Yeah.
But only because no one talked to him, and then Shia LaBeouf talked to him. Mm-hmm. Oh, he can't talk.
Anyway, so the gun...
It's like the stoic stereotype of, you never told me you could do that, and he's like, you never asked.
Exactly. Yeah, I didn't know you spoke Chinese. You didn't ask, yeah.
There's a big line in like Dragon Ball Z. They'd be like, you never told me you could explode a planet, and Droid's just like, well, you never asked.
So the Garm leads Oliver to the tank that has Nyssa in it. Mm-hmm. Oliver manages to open it. He falls down. Now, she trips him. He falls. She kind of lands on him, and it's that. Oh, this is that romantic. They're gonna kiss kind of scenario.
Nope.
But they don't. Despite the fact she looks 16 and he looks maybe 20, and in a show with romance, this would be a kiss moment. They don't.
There's definitely some intended tension there.
Yeah.
Some attraction between the two. Even though Oliver's terrible and he just left her to get drug off by a robot,
right.
You get the sense that she's attracted to him.
But he came and rescued her 3 different times.
He did, yeah. He kind of made up for just like leaving
like majorly made up for it.
Yeah, so he was a pirate, he is selfish, and then you see like a lot of character development through these few episodes.
Yeah, and
that plays on later.
In old school Doctor Who, she would have left to have been with him.
She did.
No.
Exactly. Oh, well, not to be with him.
Yeah, right. But she would
spoiler, this is no longer a companion. She leaves. She stays.
Yep. Well, it's not exactly a spoiler. We're on the 4th episode. Episode. Nyssa leaves at the end of this episode, decides to stay on Terminus to help them control the radiation mechanism to cure the leprosy. She stays, no longer a companion. We never see her again.
Never? She never comes back?
Never.
We never revisit Terminus?
Never.
The origin of the universe?
Never. I'd like to say Tegan never came back, but she does. All right.
I like Tegan. I don't know what...
You'll see her again in about 10 years.
I'm excited.
Right. So anyway, they get out. The Doctor uses this box to summon the Garm, which he saw the guards used to summon the Garm earlier. And he says, okay, I want you to do this. And the Garm's like, you use the box, I must obey. And it's never explained how the Garm was enslaved to this box. It's never explained, like I said, what race he is, from what planet, how he was enslaved to the box.
Well, his race is a Garm, I'd assume. I don't think that's his name.
But no, it says the Garm.
Yeah,
the Garm. We don't know if that's the name of the race. We don't know if that's. We don't know what planet he's from. We know nothing about this creature except he can survive radiation and laser blasts.
I'm assuming his fate was the same as all the other crew members on the Terminus. They were all prisoners, and they just kind of conscripted them into the service. Because that's all the people in the radiation suits. They're like, we're prisoners.
He's the only alien. He was there specifically to help people.
They're all
survive,
aliens.
Right. Well, no. Most of them are human.
The Terminus was full of humans?
That looks human. Nothing said they weren't human.
The doctor said their technology was terribly, terribly advanced. Unfortunately.
The race that created the Terminus, yes. Yeah. Not the race that was using the Terminus.
Oh, so it's like human prisoners that they use.
Have you seen Alien when the humans go and they go on the spaceship with the advanced race?
Yeah.
Same scenario. Ancient advanced race built this thing, but we're here exploring it.
Yeah. Right. Well, apparently there's a company, which is like the main villain that takes all these people that are infected with lasers, and they ship them off to Terminus. They also ship prisoners off to pilot or be the crew members of the Terminus. And I'm assuming they also just took a prisoner Garm and said, well, you're not affected by radiation, so we're conscripting you into the service.
I think that had to have been at the beginning. Because I think he would have been there the entire time.
Probably been there for a while.
Help cure people the entire time.
Well, we say cure, but like they're talking about how the ship had terribly advanced technology, and their version of radiation therapy as a cure is just, they'll absorb radiation through osmosis.
Just because the original race knew how to work their technology doesn't mean anyone else does.
If they're capable of space travel and things like that, they probably should be capable of radiation therapy. Like targeted radiation. But they don't care. They don't even assume that there is a cure for lasers. They're just like, they might live if we just put them through a lot of radiation. Indiscriminately.
So, anyway, the Garm pushes the lever, gets the lever down to nothing. The doctor is able to stop the second engine from blowing up. Awesome. Saves the universe.
Again.
Then the Garm's like, have I served you well? Doctor's like, yes. He says, then do me a favor. Destroy the box that controls me.
He's like,
Doctor goes, looks at the box, smash. Just, box is gone.
Yeah. And he stopped the lever, he smashes the box, he says, rest up, you deserve it.
Yeah, take a rest, you deserve it. And he goes off. So they end up trying to cut the cables to make sure no one can manually make the engine explode. They get caught by Valgard.
Yes. He shows up again.
Right, he shows up again. They manage to convince Valgard.
He's just as angry.
Right, yeah. They manage to convince him that, hey, we can help you. We can cure the Lazars. And by the way, we can make your Holsynth, what's it called?
The hydromel.
Hydromel.
I can synthesize it and maybe even improve on it.
And we can keep you alive. And so the company won't own you and you're not slaves.
And the only reason this works, we're led to believe, is just Valgard's machinations, and he wants to be in control. He already made this deal with what was his name? Eric. He said, if I go into the radiation, the forbidden zone, and I bring back, Vor or the armor, that means I get to be the leader. And he's
the doctor and
so now they show up and they say, hey, we can give you, you can leave the control of the company because you'll be able to synthesize your own hydromel. And he's going, I'm going to kill... Oh, well, that's a pretty good idea.
It takes some convincing, but he does get convinced.
And I love that him convincing the other guy was as simple as, he's like, and you trust him? And he goes, do you know anyone harder to convince? And he goes, oh, that's a good point.
Yeah, okay,
yeah. He's like, I guess they made a good argument.
Yeah. So there's a small coup amongst the guards, and they're going to help better control and save the Lazars.
Turn it into an actual hospital facility rather than just a...
Correct. So hopefully the vast majority of them will survive rather than just like maybe 2/3, right?
And they have such a spirited anticlimactic uprising or mutiny that like even the mostly dead boar just like stands up and goes, yeah.
Well, it's very
he's
English.
like half dead at this point.
It's very English.
He gets up, he's like, yeah, we need more leadership.
Very English. And then the doctor is heading back to the TARDIS.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so Oliver and Kira are sticking around.
Mm-hmm.
The doctor's heading back to the TARDIS.
Well, they lost their ship, so...
Yeah.
I don't know why they decided not to be rescued by the doctor after all. Because that was their whole bargain. And then after they get everything resolved, they're like, we're not going on that thing, we're going to stay here.
Hey, well, Terminus is now going to be a better place. So the doctor runs into Tegan. Then Tegan's like, oh. He's like, I told you to stay on the TARDIS. And she's like, well, we got off the TARDIS, and by the way, Turlo's back on the TARDIS. And
she's like, go get him. I don't trust him.
I don't trust him. Go get him. And the Turlo's on the TARDIS trying to escape in it. And he talks to Black Guardian. Black Guardian's like, you have failed me. You have one more chance. You fail me again, you will die.
And then he gives him a migraine for a
He gives
seconds.
him like a hangover with a white crystal.
He goes, ah!
Falls unconscious. I hurt. You'll recover. Yeah, like like a bad hangover.
Yeah, he'll be fine.
Yeah. And in that point, Nissa decides she's going to stay. Not necessarily for the love of Oliver. That's never mentioned.
It's never mentioned, but I feel like it's implied. I feel like there's definitely a connection there.
It's theoretically possible, but it's not the way it's been in the past. She's there for the love of science.
Yes.
She wants to help the Lazars.
Yes.
She wants to create a properly controlled radiation therapy, and she wants to help them with the stuff that keeps them alive.
And also, there's this really cute boy named Oliver that's there.
Not even mentioned anywhere near that.
Well, if we ever went back to Terminus and saw Nissa later on, she and Oliver would be married on that.
Possibly, but that is not the deciding factor. As it was with Leela, and as it was with Susan,
They
and
specifically
as it was with
said,
Vicky. Yeah. It's very different. It's more of a
always been
modern
like,
thing. Yeah.
Not only am I staying because I'm in love with this person, but also I want to help out this society. Like even the male companions did that. Like he's like,
no, but the person.
yeah, he's like, are you sure you want to stay here? He's like, these people need leadership. I'll stay.
Wait.
That was
Wait.
Stephen.
You mean like Steven? Like,
Yeah.
they need you here. Stick around with them.
It's just
I'm
like-
out of here. You stay.
Yeah,
And it's
Steven-
like, what?
He was like, all right, let's go. And the doctor's
He was like,
no.
wait a minute. What? What are you talking about? Oh, you're their leader now.
They did Steven almost as bad as they did Dodo, where they're just like,
Not
"Oh,
as bad.
not getting back on.
Dodo was like, beginning of episode 1, you're out of here. See you later.
He's like,
you don't even get a line.
It's
Yeah.
Britain, just go. And she's like, is this the same year I left? And the doctor's like,
I
doesn't
don't
matter,
care.
just go. Get out of here.
So anyway, everyone says their goodbyes. Tegan and the doctor leave. Nissa stays. They
Goodbye,
meet Turlo
Nissa.
on the TARDIS, and end of episode 4. What questions do you have?
Kill the doctor. So we talked about Turlo's clammy hands.
Yeah, he's a real Hanyak.
We talked about the Rumbles. We talked about Adric's room. Very sad. We also talked about why they refer to it as a leper ship, even though it's the Lazar's disease. Apparently, those are kind of synonymous.
Well, we think.
The Garm was never a bad guy, so.
Well, you think he is for a while.
I never thought he was.
Really?
That's always the trope.
It's
Is the
implied.
strong, silent one that's portrayed as a villain is always the good guy. That's the ongoing stereotype with Doctor Who. There's always a
Nyssa
strong,
was still a
silent,
companion here, but
there's
you
always
erased her because she left.
a strong, silent character that's portrayed as a bad guy, and they always end up being the good guys. Multiple times. Every time we have like a strong, silent character.
Have you seen Friday the 13th?
He's a strong,
silent
heroic character.
Not heroic.
So we talked about that. We talked about the hydromel.
Yeah.
I wrote down this fantastic joke about veneer, more like terrier ear, but it was the veneer was a different rate. It's the garm that was the terrier. It doesn't even rhyme.
Alright.
So, it didn't rhyme anyway, so I'm not too broke up about that. Boar, at first I thought he had radiation burns, but no, he was burned, all the way alongside his body from trying to pull out that power cable.
Yeah, power cable.
He has this big old mustache. He's like, I guess I pulled the wrong one.
Right, and this side
He's
like
just
completely
burnt to a
yeah.
crisp.
But no deaths. None
None
at all. Everyone lives.
Since the very beginning of the first episode, you see Boar and you're like, oh, he's dead. And then like every episode you see him again, and you're like, he's definitely gonna die. And then the last episode, he just stands up again. He's like, hey. You're like, I guess not.
I like that guy. You know?
I liked Boar. I'm glad he didn't die.
I agree.
He's a cool guy. And we talked about Turlo's little crystal. I still I'm trying so hard to equate that to something relatable to describe it, and it's just it's just a crystal. It's
the closest I can come
like
up with is a
really small Chinese takeout box in the form of a crystal.
Okay. It's a certain type of candle.
They make candles like that?
There are small candles. They're about this big. That you light.
Like lantern candles? Like jack-o'-lantern
No, they're about this tall, this round.
They come in a little metal tin?
Yeah.
Those kind of...
And they're called something.
Jack-o'-lantern candles?
No. It's a very Catholic thing.
I thought Catholics was like the longer white candles that they go in.
Well, no, these are the ones you light at the churches.
Oh, and they put them in the cups and they
yeah. What?
It's our fact checker. Fact check.
What's up?
Votive.
Votive is the name.
Votive candles. Thank you, Sunshine. Votive.
So apparently the crystal looks like a votive candle.
A little larger, but not by much.
I think it looks like a really small Chinese takeout box, like a side of orange chicken. So we talked about the crystal and the migraine. We also talked about the Terminus and how that and the TARDIS apparently both created the universe. And it's pretty straightforward. I don't have a whole lot of questions.
Mm-hmm.
I think we covered just about all of them during the synopsis or recap, whatever it is we do.
Okay.
Is there any Doctor Who news for this week?
No, like I said, we're still waiting on this season. It's going to be later released on Blu-ray after we're done with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fine because I have it on DVD. And you and I...
What does that spell? Uni.
You and I are here. Next week is Entitlement. Or Enlightenment.
I thought you were spelling something.
No.
N-I.
No. Next week we're doing Enlightenment, which is the penultimate episode for this season.
Yeah, join us next
Season
week
20.
for Enlightenment, and then next week for season finale.
King's Demons.
The Daemons return.
But no. And then we get to do the 5 Doctors, the 20th anniversary special.
That is the one I've been looking forward to since the 3 Doctors.
So we are literally less than 2 seasons behind the main group, which is on the 2 Doctors.
Oh, we're so close.
We're getting
catching
there.
up.
We're getting there.
We're getting there. Speaking of spelling things, what do you think about acronyms? Like specifically the one for ID. That's not an acronym, that's an abbreviation. Which is weird because the I is short for I and the D is short for identification. It's another one from Norm Macdonald.
Okay.
Wait. You said previously that Norm Macdonald only had one funny joke, and I'm dying to know what the one funny joke is.
Really?
The one joke from Norm Macdonald that you think is funny. Because I think most of it is
Okay.
just the ridiculous things he says is really funny.
All right. So Moth. God bless you.
Whoa, that was aggressive. That one really wanted out.
So Moth goes into a doctor's office.
Oh, the moth joke. Yeah. I know.
That's the one. It's the only one. It's the best.
That's the one with the really, really long setup and a really disappointing punchline.
It's a funny punchline. That's just one good joke.
That's funny because I think that's the one not funny Norm Macdonald joke.
All right. Next week, Enlightenment. We'll finally finish up the Black Guardian trilogy.
Apparently.
And we'll be done with the Black Guardian.
He's hardly made an appearance. All he's done is show up and say some ominous things. And like, I hope he shows up in like actually in a big way in this next episode, where like he's the main villain and not just like some side plot with Turlo.
Well, we finally see the White Guardian.
Oh, the actual White Guardian.
Yeah.
Apparently, we've never actually seen him before.
Correct.
Because it's the Black Guardian posing as the White Guardian.
Correct.
Is it a different actor?
Yes.
I like the Black Guardian's disguise as the White Guardian because he disguised himself as just like this Colonel Sanders, like really southern.
It was great.
He's like, whoa, boy.
I'm a southern gentleman.
Straw hat, white suit. He's like, you try my chicken?
Alright. Anyway, in other Doctor Who news, the 60th anniversary specials are still upcoming.
Mm-hmm.
We're currently in August, September, October, and November. 3 months away.
Did you know August is the month with the most birthdays? The majority of people are, not the majority, but the largest amount of people are born always during months of August. Which means a whole lot of people are making babies in like
December.
Yeah, for Christmas.
Yeah, December. Makes sense. New Year's.
I guess.
Yeah.
I would think Valentine's Day 8 months later would be the most.
9 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
what did I say? 8?
Yeah, you said 8.
I don't know. Just
8's viable. 7's viable. 6 is viable these days.
I don't know anything about women and how their bodies work.
Good for
you
you.
put a bun in the oven, 6 weeks later it pops out, right?
Not exactly. Okay.
9 months is a long time to have something growing inside. No wonder that's miserable.
Yes, it can be. It's both amazing and very discomforting.
I mean, over the past 9 months, I've seen my beer belly steadily increasing. I feel like I
don't have a beer belly. I have a whiskey waist.
A full keg is what I'm working on.
Alright, we will see you next week for Enlightenment. Yay, thank you. And someday we'll get to the 4th Doctor on Heroes and Villains.
Yay. Alright, we'll see you next time. Thanks so much for joining us. See our outro, Hatter. Boop, 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 boom.
Hey, I shaved.
You did shave. Look at that, Hatter shaved. Oh my goodness. Who is that?